Yeah, and it's so easy to stand out in a lot of the examples that you've given. One of the things that you've mentioned, you've sort of glossed over a couple of times, is the I can't remember the word you used, but having a really you took it that you'd already have a good LinkedIn profile. That was sort of the basic. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to define what that is. I assume it's about branding it up, making it look right, making it
Yeah.
have the right language, the right words. What are the things that in your mind make a
Well,
good
it's
LinkedIn
interesting. A
profile?
lot of people think about LinkedIn, your profile, as like an online resume. And your resume is all about who you used to be, right? Your LinkedIn profile should be positioning you for the person you're stepping into, right? It should be your personal brand, not your resume. So there's the experience section, which is the most resume-like section, but you can also custom craft that. And I'm not saying I don't want you to make things up, but you also don't have to talk about everything you've ever done. Just talk about the things that are relevant that build you up to what you're doing right now. If what I did, I owned a company 25 years ago, and I did everything in that company. If what I was doing now is HR related, what you would see on that is that I would talk about negotiating for health benefits and hiring and firing, but I don't even talk about that, even though I did that work, because it's not relevant to what I'm doing now. So even down to the experience section, just kind of build the story of you up to where you are today. And then in your about section, which is the hardest section to do, but it is the section that is the most important, make that up, tell people about you, right? But use first person, make it story-ish, right? Like give them a story, make them people want to read it. And remember that nobody cares about you. They care about what you can do for them, right? So I can go on and on. You absolutely want to incorporate keywords into your profile, because you want to think about what are people searching for on LinkedIn, which is a little different than on a search engine that you want to come up in a search result. So you want to use pepper those words in there. And I also think if we're talking to an audience of mostly entrepreneurs, I think, or a creative or somebody that has a personal brand or a thought leader brand, I think you should be using creator mode on LinkedIn. You should have your profile in LinkedIn creator mode, which is free, and which gives us the opportunity to showcase what we create. And that helps position you with that thought leader brand that we talked about.
So creator mode is more for if you're going to be sharing content as well, yeah?
Not necessarily, yes, but not necessarily. What it does is it positions you and anything you've created above your skills and stuff like that, right? But it gives you opportunities. You get the opportunity to do LinkedIn Lives. You get a LinkedIn newsletter opportunity. You get additional links that you can share to like your website or a lead magnet or something like that, right? So it gives us more tools than traditional resume like type normal LinkedIn
And
normal
and
office normal.
I mean, I don't know about you, but in terms of frequently asked questions from the sort of demographic that we're talking about here, I can hear them saying, so how often should I be posting on LinkedIn and what should I be posting? I bet you get
Well,
that question.
the good news is you don't have to post a lot on LinkedIn. You don't. And listen, the minute these words come out of my mouth, LinkedIn is going to change it. And maybe they changed it yesterday and I didn't know yet, right? So anybody that tells you, and this is exactly how it works, don't believe them, because it changes. But generally, there are people out there that like to do they like to count posts and count things, and I'm so grateful for them, because I learn from them. And the studies that they do when they count posts and count likes and count engagement is that more than once a day actually reduces your reach for each post. And that once a day doesn't necessarily have to even be your own content, right? Like, if you are, like this is out on my LinkedIn profile right now. So this is my once a day. I don't have to do anything, right? I just showed up to talk to you. So, at most once a day. If you're doing a few times a week, that's a beautiful thing too. Again, I'm not too worried about how many people see my posts. I'm more concerned with who's on my calendar. But that being said, as you're starting to build out your network through all these people we talked about, the journalists, the podcast hosts, the people in your associations, you want to stay top of mind with them. So you do want to have consistent content going out, tagging people where you can. And if you're doing these things that we're talking about here, the content piece is going to come naturally. You don't have to create something fake.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So this is very much about mindset. It's about confidence. It's about actually, spinning it on its head and thinking, well, actually, maybe they are interested in hearing from me.
Right.
I do know what I'm talking about. And you've said it a couple of times, thinking outside the box. So using opportunities, not just sharing an article, but tagging the journalist. I mean,
And
what a
then
great
connecting
idea.
with the journalists and telling them how much you loved their article and how much you loved what they wrote. Who doesn't want that? It used to be, years ago with the news, they would say things like, if it bleeds, it leads, right? Now they talk about if it's shareable, it's airable. So they especially journalists like NBC and things like that, there's actually, I was at a local TV station here in New Jersey a couple years ago, maybe. And they have like a leaderboard on the wall of social media posts and likes and engagement and shares and contents. They actually get, like, they track that stuff. They're tracking that stuff. So they're very happy when we're sharing their stuff, and it fits right in. I also went to I saw a panel recently, and we talked to, like, one of the questions and it was all New York, and I live right outside New York City, so this was New York City journalists here. This was not like, in the middle of nowhere. This is some of the biggest journalists in the world, and they were asked what's the best way to reach you if we have a story, and every one of them said social media. Every one of them said social media. DM us on Twitter, DM us on Facebook or LinkedIn. So that's where they're getting this information. Their inboxes are crazy, and they're dynamic. They want us to reach out to them. They need us to reach out to them.
Karen, you have definitely made people think. And I think it is reflecting on that mindset. As you've said, you've got your own podcast, which we talked about, the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. So if you are interested in listening to that podcast, please do Google it. You'll find it on your favorite podcasting platforms.